Fantastic. Well, we'll let some people filter in here as we go live, and
Yep.
I will do the intro in about 30 seconds.
Cool. Well, if it's just me and you just let me know so I don't have to talk to nobody the whole time. I'm kidding. We're recording this either way, right?
We are, and actually lots of people will be able to see this, and I'm so excited for this presentation, actually.
So it's all good. It's all good. It'll be fun.
Yes, it's going to be great. All right. I'm going to go on. Chris, if you wouldn't mind muting your side.
Mic mute.
Yeah, perfect. You got it. All right. Well, I have to say this is one of the most exciting presentations that I have seen for the last 4 nights, and this was something that we were thinking about. How do we incorporate kind of the career education approach into this conference? Because everything's always focused on sort of academics and the idea that everyone has to go to college, and so I really wanted to have Chris specifically here. So, Chris, it is my distinct honor and pleasure to introduce you. Before I share your bio, Kanan, again, as I was saying, Kanan, Lacey, and Michael and I were looking for a way to highlight the tremendous opportunity for careers that don't require college and in places where there is just absolutely a massive need. Everyone's familiar with Mike Rowe of Dirty Jobs, and Mike just doesn't respond to emails apparently. But we have found someone much, much better, thanks to my friend Sally Lutz. Chris is actually on the ground. As you can see right behind Chris's back there, he's in his lab. He's on the ground teaching students every single day how to create a career in home building in a very, very practical way. This is a very unique school. And the demand has exploded since the last 2 decades. Policymakers and pundits really have decided that everyone's got to go to college, as I was saying. And the markets responded to this. And I feel, and I believe my partners do, and I'm sure Chris does, that there are millionaire next door style opportunities in jobs that require the use of one's own hands, face-to-face human interaction, and just like the stuff that makes the world move inside this country. That's everything from construction to HVAC, electricians, plumbing, demolition, ironwork, and the students, thanks to Chris Roberts and the school that he offers, have an awesome opportunity to reap these rewards. As again, you can see behind Chris, he's in his laboratory, and this is where all the magic happens. Anyway, let's talk a bit about Chris Roberts. Chris Roberts is a home building instructor and project manager at FWCS Career Academy in Fort Wayne, Indiana. In 2019, Chris was named Fort Wayne Community Schools Teacher of the Year and announced in the Indiana State Teacher of the Year Top 10. Chris earned a bachelor's degree from Indiana Purdue University, IPFW, in 2007 in general studies. And Chris shared with me his journey through education. And it wasn't until he fell in love with what he's doing now that he really excelled. And that's a lot of the story that you've been hearing in this conference. From the start, Chris has been at the forefront of various leadership positions within the school, including NTHS, Quality Improvement Team, and Lead Teacher Committee. Chris's relentless pursuit of extracurricular opportunities for his students has led to the expansion of the Construction Trades Department. His largest involvement is with the Skills USA chapter, in which he coached 21 state champions in various trades and complete fundraising for the new HVAC program. Chris has led this department into multiple partnerships with local community groups such as the Home Builders Association, the Boys and Girls Club, and Habitat for Humanity in his local community. Chris has been teaching at FWCS Career Academy since 2006, having taught concrete, masonry, cabinet making, and is currently teaching carpentry, interior finish, and cabinet making to his students. Chris continues to educate adults in the evenings as part of a hobbyist class. And get this, with all that stuff that Chris has got going on, he's been married to his loving and endlessly supportive wife, Tara, for 15 years and is the father of 5 beautiful daughters. God bless Chris, Ella, Allison, Isabel, Emily, Amelia, ages 2 to 13. And Chris, I didn't tell you this, but I've kind of got a shadow title for your presentation. And I was going to call it, When College Just Isn't For Me, The Tremendous Hidden Opportunity. So Chris, I'll turn it over to you.
Well, thank you so much. And I'm sorry my intro was so long of this blah, blah, blah is all I heard when he started talking. But the long story of all of this is that it did take a long time for me to get to where I wanted to be. I'm there now, though. So the success is on its way. I've got a long future ahead of me. I've only got 15 years in of teaching right now, and I feel like I have another 50 in the tank. We'll see what actually happens. This event, I'm extremely excited for the opportunity to speak about our program. It is a big part of what has helped shape me. As much as I get to shape my students, this program has helped shape me and has drawn me to some life-changing things. And I want to share those with you. Last night, I was so excited to speak about our program in this facet that I couldn't sleep. It was like going into the first day of school. So forgive me if I get too excited and I start talking a little too quickly. But I have a little presentation put together. I'm currently, as was stated by Chris, I'm currently in my shop, Fort Wayne, Indiana. And this is where I spend my time. I wish you could get the sight, the true feel, the smell, the humidity. I wish you could feel all that with me right now during this presentation and feel exactly what our students feel when they come into our program. Now, I'm going to say we a lot. We as in our department, as in our school. We have an amazing culture here. And I think that's my original boss, Larry Gerardo, what he set forth and what our current director, Jesse Webb, is doing for us is setting forth that feel that we are all in the same team together, the same unity, the same group, the same vision, the same goal. And I get to help set those goals and those visions. And so today I only have 18 more minutes. So I'm going to budget my time and I'm going to get right into it. So the first thing that comes to mind when I start thinking about how we got to this point is thinking about my foundation. At the time, you don't realize it, what your parents set forth for you sometimes. I was unbelievably blessed by parents that set for me. They both had their degree in teaching, yet it took me 20 years of my life to realize that's the ability that God set forth for me and that I was blessed with. So growing up, I was active. Activities were endless. So therefore, running outside, climbing trees, building forts was nonstop. And then the parents' chagrin, that was inside of a finished home and destroying walls, etc. Sports were a big piece for me because it allowed me to be around others and it allowed me to be in front of others and create that teamwork that then would later set forth into my career here. As far as work goes, work was endless. I never felt like it was work, and I still don't. And so I realized these things. But at the time, some of you students, your parents, and community members are thinking about what direction should we be in, what's pulling me in which direction. Mine was set forth pretty early, and I got to fit my career to my natural abilities. And that's not something I take lightly anymore. I didn't even know it existed at that time when all this was going. So work has never worked for me. I get to go to my career, and I explain that often in front of my classes. And I don't have to discuss pay, and I don't have to discuss how many hours I put in because it's not quite what some people call work. This is employment. This is really putting out there exactly what I believe in and what my conviction is as far as my root kind of goals and moving on with my educational history. Private school was very difficult for me, and one lane road a lot of times. And there's nothing wrong with private school education. The values that it taught me are still present today. But the actual curriculum and the education itself was difficult. I had great teachers. My mom taught at the school that I was at, so I was watched over closely. But I couldn't sit still. I had trouble focusing. And so this is all going to gain kind of in through my story here and into these slides as far as some of you and where you might want to be headed. Public school fit well. It fit well on a couple levels. One, I love the fact that it was a wide variety and types of classes. I capitalized on the industrial arts classes. I like working with my hands and being busy. I never really got into the fine skills until high school, when my mentor and still friend today, Steve Smethers, helped guide me towards a career in construction. Yet sometimes when things are, again, laid out, I realize that. So I went through public school quickly. I gained everything I could through opportunities, and that would come back. All those skills I gained would come back. Through my years, sure, go to school, go figure, right? I had trouble with that. I had trouble focusing, had trouble dialing in. But the second I found what I was passionate about, which was teaching, coaching, that all changed for me. So I want to continue to kind of build on that again. My teaching philosophy is pretty simple. When students enter my room, I want to find what their likes are, what their abilities are. I want to find what they have been gifted. And I want to harvest that gift and make sure they feel comfortable moving forward with that gift, no matter what others might think or say, or what dollar amount was attached at the end of the day to their paycheck. So finally, the career education program was something new. When I got into the School of Education at IPFW, I had no idea what CTE was. I had no idea. What I did know is that in high school, I thought it was a dropout program. Yet when I started working here, I found out it was something vastly different. And still is, actually, not probably, it is the best kept secret in Fort Wayne as far as education goes. And it's only a kept secret by local businesses, I found out, that love to shop here for our students and don't want everyone else coming in and stealing all of the talent up before they get to them. So moving on, as far as the student goes, what you might see inside of a career and technical education center, if you're unfamiliar with that, is you're going to see student learners and, you're going to see students who have started to identify what type of learner that they are. Now, what type of learner are you? Are you the type that can sit and listen for hours, that you can read and write and sit in one spot? Or are you the activity, gets in trouble for talking in class? I'll raise my hand for all of those. Are you the type that maybe is more analytical, or maybe you can mix all together? But either way, our building is loaded, and I'm talking about our entire school, not just our construction department, is loaded with all sorts of different student learners. And it's funny when we ask students what type of learner they are when they come in as juniors and seniors in high school. They know what works well and what doesn't work well. And they might not be able to identify that with fancy jargon, but what they can do, they can actually take all of the advice you're giving them and start understanding and taking pride in what they do have. So the other part is like-minded learners. Our construction program, I'll talk especially about that. If you walk down the hall, we're all pretty much the same. It is unbelievable, the learners and what works in our classroom. So the curriculum we put forth, and then the support that we add to it to get them to go. We have a very good formula within our construction department, and that stems from a lot of different areas, but I always like to discuss and talk about those. So finally, on this particular slide, the more extras, the better. So what we look for, or what you should look for as a student, is all the little things that can add in. Can you certifications? Can you add in your dual credits? Does your career center offer those? Also add in some extracurricular things like a Skills USA or a National Technical Honor Society. Anything you can get your hands on. These schools, career and tech centers, are noted for having a very similar outlook across the country. What you can expect to see in the classroom. So for you students out there or parents wondering what the students would see, you're going to see things like books. You're going to see things like computers. You're going to see projectors. Your classrooms aren't going to look much different as far as that facet than what you are used to in your day-to-day learning. But on top of that, you're going to see things like hands-on examples. You're going to see maybe in your HVAC class a furnace sitting in the middle of the room. You're going to see things like wood. You're going to see things like screws and fasteners. These sort of things are going to help aid your understanding, differentiate the learning that goes on in the classroom. We're going to touch all those bases. We're going to use all those senses in the career and technical facility. So what can you expect to see in the lab room? Well, I'm in the lab room. So what you can expect to see is tools, equipment, up-to-date items. Our schools do such a good job in Indiana with keeping up with the times. What you're being trained on in this lab room here are items that you would actually use your first day on the job site. So you're more comfortable getting out in that. You're going to get a real experience. You're going to get a real experience. And that brings me to my next point, which is the job site. The job site is your opportunity as a student to get the sights, smells, feels of exactly what it's going to be for you. I have the unbelievable opportunity to build a house every year for Habitat for Humanity. And within that, I get to put students on the ground pouring concrete. I get in the heat, let's say, start of the year. I get to move them on top of that concrete and start framing up walls and get them at different heights. And then classic Indiana weather, I get the fall to come in and cooler weather and rain. Students get to experience all of that to see if they're in the right spot. In the wintertime, I get to come into my cabinet shop right here. We get to practice different techniques, and then we get to build cabinets for all the homes that we do. Not every career center offers all of these individual aspects, but all of them offer parts. All of them offer pieces. Some offer far more. We have a cool opportunity within our program that we have 4 instructors. We have the largest career center in the construction department in the state of Indiana. And we've gotten that point with our instructors and the excitement that they express when they're on the job sites about their trade. The job site is where it all kind of comes together. We can talk about a lot of things in the classroom. We can show you a lot of things, but until then, quite know if you're in the right spot. So that's a big piece for our students. As far as students continued, again, the collaboration piece. Collaboration is a giant part of career and technical education. It's a giant part of what we do within our entire school. Teachers getting with teachers, coming up with further ideas, expanding students' knowledge in other areas to further gain their own area. We have, for instance, during our cabinet making session every year, we have our special needs students from our main building, our youth life kids. They come down here and they are able to work side by side with our students, sanding, building, and creating. And then our students get to learn from them as far as what they're doing. Finding and selecting your path is not easy. I'm not going to pretend like mine was option A, B, or C. But Career Center, it definitely helps narrow that spectrum quick. And like I tell my students, this might be a no from day 3 when we get up on ladders. A homeowner someday, you will be one, and you will need to know these skills so you can then further love the house that you live in. As far as selecting your path, sometimes you have to switch 3 times or 4 times. Guilty of switching majors, not exactly knowing what direction I was going to go on. But what I realized is that when I came upon my path early in my life, I truly believed that it couldn't possibly be that simple. So sometimes it's right in front of you. For instance, I listed this quote below because I love it. It's on the classroom walls in my room. Opportunity is missed by most people because it is dressed in overalls and it looks like work. So many students are afraid to be exactly who they are. So many students are afraid to come in and get dirty at first because they don't know how that feels. but you'll know if it's the right one when you're within a career center. When you get that first amount of oil on your work clothes in the auto shop because you just got into a vehicle, you'll know if it's the right spot. So I encourage you students to just keep taking a look at different opportunities, and no doubt finding a way to get into your local career and tech center, or anything further like an industrial arts program that can help express a little bit of all those unique traits that we try to explain, but you really got to do them in person. As far as parents go, the biggest advice and the most success I have is parents, just be involved in your child's education, because their success really does depend on it. I see through our building, we have a great eclectic group of students. Our public school district, Fort Wayne Community Schools, has 34,000 students. And out of all those students, top to bottom, we have such a unique diversity on all ends, whether economic or race. So we have such a unique group where students can come together. And parents, I see parents of all forms, but it's those that check in and those that take interest even when their student isn't interested in talking about it. That works best. It's amazing when students get down to our career and tech center here, how often parents they'll show up to the parent-teacher conference night and say, man, he doesn't or she doesn't talk about much of anything, but she surely talks about your program. And that's exactly what we're getting at, is students buying into their education. And when they do, and when they really are able to take accountability with it and be excited about it, we know that that's going to turn into success. So their success depends on it. So I'm going to talk about a few points that are going to help better your opportunity for your students' success. So what career opportunities are in your area? It might be something as simple as a Boys and Girls Club offering an after-school event once a week. Our local Boys and Girls Club partnered up with our program, and every Tuesday we send students there to be in a construction trades room that is sponsored by Do It Best and by our school. And what we're doing is just expressing our excitement in construction and trying to get that to set in at an early age. That's a unique opportunity. It might be small, might be only a couple hours a week, but it's something. Most counties, like ours here, have one career and tech center. We support all of our local high schools, whether they're private, whether they're public, and I'll talk about those here in a minute. So what is your child eligible for? So those options and those things take a little bit of time and a little bit of research. Your student, their guidance counselor will know more facts and figures on the opportunities, but I really encourage you to do your own research as well, because you really want to get the source from the source. So see what your career centers offer, what classes they offer, how long are the classes, what age groups are the classes. Some states offer career education in middle school, and they get into with an early age and early opportunities for students to start right into their trade. That's one thing we seem to be missing at times, is we're forgetting. For instance, when I was growing up in a middle school, that's all I needed to get the energy out, was that right there. And that's all I need to do to focus in on other things. When we're able to connect math and English and science to a subject like construction and something that your student might love doing, well, their effort level is going to go through the roof. Their attendance is going to improve. Facts and data have proven that. So see what they offer. Tour the facility. We host tours during sign-up season from February to the end of March. We have people constantly walking through. See what we do. See what your career center does. Walk through and get the sights and feels and see the types of students and how that all flows. That's going to help immensely, because this is not where our facility here is nothing like what your student has likely ever experienced. Perception versus reality is not always what you hear from others. Through high school, all I heard was that this program here was for dropouts. This program here was for kids that weren't going to make it in the real world. When I got here, when I started teaching here, I quickly realized that was quite the opposite. If I would have called down to this facility and walked through this facility with my parents, I guarantee my thoughts were not going to match that. Support their experience. I have parents that come in for our competition events. I have parents that are involved in every aspect, grandparents, aunts, uncles, supporting their decision, and then maybe learning a little bit more as it goes. It's hard to learn new things, and it's hard to maybe not be able to answer questions, but be involved in their experience and be willing to reach out. And you will find that your student will have endless opportunities. As far as the last piece of that kind of three-part attack that we have here at our Career Center between the student, the parent, and the community. The community is a huge part. And although it took a couple years to get to the community piece, we had to do a little bit of PR in our building. We had to rebuild our brand a little bit. Once we were able to do that, the floodgates opened, and the support for our program still today feels endless. Now, as much as teachers are in need of items, it's no secret that teachers are a little short, a lot of it short, on a number of classroom and lab room items constantly. But as much as we're in need of things, in need of support, the community, flipping that mode, the community needs us just as much, if not more. So as far as our community goes, although it took a little bit of time, they will get to a point where they will be reaching out to you. The calls to them will slow, and the calls to you will be endless. It feels like I'm meeting with community partners 2 times a week at this point in the year. We're getting constant calls throughout our entire school building, requesting help, requesting students that can be hired. Now, although this is a unique time, I also like to believe strongly that it is the groundwork that we paved with the students and their success stories that's helped build the community aspect and the connectivity we have with them. So once that community piece is established, teachers can set up specific rules for employment and options for internships and co-opportunity employment. So within our school, we have 2 major options. We have internships, both paid and unpaid, and we have co-op opportunities. They both, days of the week those items are, and the hours of which we provide for them. We have advisory committees. Advisory committees comprised of local business, former students who are now business owners. We have advisory committees for both our students and our departments and our entire school. And what we've done is we've made it formal. We made it formal with twice a year or 4 times a year for different committees. We've made it formal with agreements, with work agreements. For instance, we have an articulation agreement with the local carpenters union, stating that if our students take on specific learning online in their own time or during additional time after school, what we can do is we can get them out of school, and this is a signed document, we can get them out of school with their first year apprenticeship already completed, starting work for them as a second year apprentice, just leaving high school with a higher wage scale, and really rewarding our students for their time. We make it formal by having formal certification programs. We do OSHA 10, we do CPR, we do aerial lift training, powder actuated nailing, safety and pollution certifications. We do things with our students that are formal enough to put it on a resume, and every local business recognizes these items and they reward the student. They shower the student with items because they've completed those things. So community partners help also gain exposure to our program. More exposure means more parents knowing about us, means more students knowing about us. So these three parts, they all work together, hand in hand. We use local government. We have a summer internship program set up with our city, with the city of Fort Wayne, where our students are paid interns going out and repairing streets and sidewalks. These are juniors in high school going into their senior year, and they're being led by former students who are full-time college students back for the summer. Utility providers and suppliers, manufacturers, our local Boys and Girls Club, like I stated, all of these come together to help formulate who we are and the culture in which we operate here within our buildings. And then finally, we celebrate our successes with community and local media. So we have events like our signing day event. If you think watching students sign up for a college that they're going to go play sports at is exciting, wait till you see the students saying they're going to the military, and what they're doing is they're immediately impacting our local region and economy. There's nothing better than that. Skills USA, we celebrate them with their competitions and their wins and all those great things that, again, bring great gifts back to our program. And then finally, we bring back our alumni. Those are our community people. The alumni work for local business. Local business supports them in their return, helping students, recruiting, all that great stuff. So all these items come together and are a big part of our program and that career and technical education piece. So as far as further questions go, we're going to have a short amount of time right now. And I have these couple web addresses a little bit more about our program.
Chris, this is awesome. Thank you so very much.
Are there any questions before I start rattling off my questions? Anyone in the audience, if you have any questions? It looks like we have one question from Jessica earlier that I think you touched on, and that was what age students you're working with, right? This is high school.
So we get juniors and seniors most commonly. Students have to be well on track for their graduation and getting that diploma. We will, on occasion, and this is also a piece I love about our program that ain't a whole lot, but on occasion, we'll get a 9th or 10th grader that just needs that extra boost, that extra piece to where they can be re-engaged within the school to maybe gain some excitement within them. There's no doubt there's direct data that proves students who join a career in tech much higher likelihood of graduating because all this they feel that they feel their ability and their skill set growing, and then they're able to gain a little confidence their next, see what's next up for them.
Awesome. And then there's another question here from Sally. Can you comment on support from the local construction community?
So as far as local support goes, our program over the course of the last, I would say 6 or 7 years, has gained support in great numbers from our local association, from our building and contractors association. A big part of what we do is we're not afraid to reach out. When we were in need of expanding our program because we were turning students away, we put out information to our local businesses and asked them if they'd help and support. And although the money from our school district wasn't there to grow our program, within 2 weeks, we had $250,000 put together, whether in time donations or in materials or in design work. We had that put together, and within a month, we were breaking ground on the expansion of our program. Now, we're just getting ready to do that again this coming summer. construction at this point, we cannot wait for anyone. And so we're putting together a $500,000 package right now to expand HVAC and sheet metal class onto our program. And this is all in support by local business with $0 spent by our local school system. We can do this for a number of reasons. And I've stated them earlier. We are flooding our area with talent. And in return, that talent is growing into local business leaders. So it's just this big kind of circular motion, right? Program and then giving back to our program. And there's nothing better. There's nothing when alumni can call me and say they went here and how it greatly impacted their life and how they want to give back.
I love that so much because I'm thinking about as I mentioned earlier in our conversation, that there's this emphasis for the last couple decades to send kids off to college, and not only going off to college, but they're going and they're getting into tremendous debt, and sometimes with degrees that really have no direct, immediate impact when they come out. Maybe they end up as a barista at Starbucks, but the $100,000 of debt doesn't go anywhere, right? And it's just not working.
Right.
The question I have really is, what would it be like for these kids if they didn't have your school?
So without our program, we would have, we house about 900 students as an entire school here. And without that, I really fear what the result would be. We're putting 100% of our students who are eligible and wanting to get out in the construction trades, we're putting them into jobs. Students who were wondering, let me back up. We have a number of students that come to our program who believe their only path is college when they walk in our door. They believe that's the only path to success. And it does take about 6 or so months to truly convince them that there are so many other options. At least another option to where they can pile college in the evenings on top of that, or sprinkle it on top of it to help maybe their long-term gain grow a little bit. But what we're seeing is the students that are coming here are really falling in love with the trades and the thought that they can go do anything they want to do. They gain confidence. We grow them a work ethic more than anything else. It's really not about the cabinet itself or the pour of the concrete. It's really about the work ethic behind it and the confidence that goes with it. So our students are leaving here with confidence. And I remember hating. I love going to school. Don't get me wrong. Every day I love going to school because of friends and sports and all that good stuff. But I hated the last semester of my senior year because I had no idea where to go. I had no idea where I wanted to go. Everything in education is scripted. Well, if I would have had this opportunity, this more unscripted opportunity as a career center down here and seeing all these different opportunities for myself, I think that last semester would have went a lot different for me. And I see our students, and I see how happy they can be graduating. I'm a little jealous of that. And I'm a little jealous of the wages they're earning right out the door after leaving our program with all applications and items.
Well, you just actually led me into my next question. It's like I paid you to sort of make that comment. So we talked about, coming out of school with debt or not coming out of school with debt and making immediate impact. What does the median wage look like, and how does that compare to the rest of the community? Right? Because if the school doesn't exist, they're at a different wage level and with a different potential outcome. What does it look like for these students when they come out with no debt?
Leaving high school at this point now, I sit in on a lot of guest speakers that come in and former students that come walking in because their company sent them here to talk. And right out of the gate, I compared my mind to my teaching salary and where I'm at now, and how and where I was at when I first got done with my 4 years or 5. How long did it take me? 5 years of education. It's unbelievable what skilled people in our program and what gifted people in our program can earn. So, for instance, our local carpenters union is starting kids out with a take-home pay of about $18.50 an hour which translates to about $37,000 a year or so before overtime. And then on top of that, they're getting a full wage benefit package, a full benefits package that these students at 18 they have no idea what that even means. They can't see past next week as far as that's concerned. These students are leaving here with opportunities within construction, but now construction is taking a little bit different mode. They're actually saying, come work full time, and then we will sprinkle in that education piece, that associate's degree on top over time. And you'll get that 2-year degree over 4, 5, or 6 years. Some of the local businesses, though, as far as immediate impact goes, they're moving these 18-year-old students. They have the skill. There's no more paying your dues time. There's no more waiting back. The time is now, all of a sudden. And if you're trained in our program, and if you come out skilled in our program and you're a yes person, you're going to move up faster than anybody else with a degree. Anybody in front of you, you're going to blow right past them, because we need skill, and our region just shouts that and screams that all the time. So whether it's in manufacturing, whether it's in automotive, whether it's in construction, if you've got the talent, there's no more waiting in the wings and waiting for your opportunity. You are going to be pushed ahead immediately into the forefront of your particular business place.
Fantastic. And then I guess 5 and 10 years in, depending on how devoted you are, you're gonna move up that opportunity, and then potentially either have a managerial role in building out sites or whatever you're choosing to work on, and or help to create your own small business, I would imagine too.
Yep. We see so many students starting businesses at the age of 20, starting business at the age of 22. And I like to believe that we have something to do with that, of starting them a couple years early and having that one-on-one training. Instructors here in this building are all journeymans and masters in their trade. And what they're getting, these students don't even realize they're getting that instructor's attention 3 hours a day, every day of the school year. And our instructors are so excited about what they do that they're going to show you anything you're hungry for. They're going to keep feeding you. If the kid's great, the best thing is about career and tech ed in our program, in our situation, is we have small classes. So if you're ready to run, we're going to run right next to you. We don't have to hold back the class and wait as some kids get done with their work so then I can move on to the next chapter. If you're ready to run, I'm giving you a project, and I'm giving you a next one and the next one and the next one, and I'm going to tear that up right away. And at the same respect, though, if you are, we're going to really focus in on your strengths. We're going to be able to see you as going to be able to cater exactly to who you are. And I don't know if I mentioned earlier who we serve, but we serve the private community, private schools. We serve the public schools and the homeschooled students. So any of which in our county can come to our program and be part of that. So there's nothing better, though, as you had mentioned, with young business owners, there's and getting that phone call from our 20-year-old, 22-year-old that says, I'm ready, I'm running out, I'm starting on my own, and I'm just shaking my head because at 21, I was still in college. I was working part-time construction, really, just making that all work. And these kids are starting companies. They're starting companies. And it's just absolutely incredible. And they're successful at it. And so we see everything from small concrete companies spurring and jumping up at the age of 20, 22, 23 years old. We see renovation companies. We see sign companies. We see all sorts of former students are just jumping right in. And the confidence that our program gives them is really, over time, I'm starting to realize its impact.
That's fantastic, Chris. Well, we are a minute away from our next speaker. And unless anybody has a last-minute question, I am going to say thank you so much for this fantastic overview and for the inspiration of what can come from a career education, and that college does not have to be the only path, and there is an incredibly rewarding and entrepreneurial path for these kids. And thank you for showing us this and for all that you do.
Awesome. Thank you.